Hi, and welcome to the Patrick Show for the week of December 4th. Holy shit. So much happened this week. So little time. So, let's get started. In Italy, the Prime Minister has submitted his resignation earlier in the week after a resounding loss at the polls for his constitutional reform package. Prime Minister Matteo Renzi announced that he was going to resign, which has introduced even more political turmoil into Italy. Partially because this is their sixth. They're looking at their sixth, having to vote in a sixth prime minister in 10 years, along with a possibly impending referendum about leaving the EU. So that's already going to cause issues having to do both, handle both those at the same time, as well as if the president could not even accept his resignation, which would force a vote of confidence in the prime minister, and that could cause some other issues. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't see any reason why the president wouldn't accept his resignation. He has accepted the request to stay on until the budget is voted on later near the end of this month. So I don't see why his resignation would be denied, but on the off chance it does, that could cause even more issues for Italy's government. In addition to Italy's prime minister, New Zealand's prime minister also resigned earlier this week. Basically, started off this week by having a press conference and resigning. New Zealand Prime Minister John Key just completely surprised the pants off of everybody. He's served for the last 8 years as one of New Zealand's most popular prime ministers, which is why everyone's so surprised. But he's citing family reasons and the fact that he really couldn't survive a fourth term, like personally. So, I mean, good luck to him and everything else he's going to work on in the future. In Pakistan, really recently, what was that, Wednesday? So Wednesday in Pakistan International Airlines PK661 crashed on a flight from Chitral to the capital of Islamabad. Unfortunately, all 48 passengers of the plane are confirmed to be dead. It was actually a really bad crash. Most bodies are so badly burnt that authorities are having trouble actually identifying many of them. And an investigation is underway. They have ruled out human and technical error. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up from that. It's a little too early to be making any assumptions on what caused the crash, but it'll be hopefully it's not something too serious that caused that crash, but we'll find out. In Paris, Paris has been making news lately because for the last couple of days they've had completely free public transit, which is kind of cool. They're well, not for the reason why they're having to do this isn't cool. The winter pollution levels have they had like a really extended winter pollution season already, and the levels have already gotten to the worst that they've been in the last 10 years, prompting them to take measures to counteract this pollution. The one of the biggest ones that I've heard a lot about was making completely free public transit for like the last 2 or 3 days. But in addition to this, they're taking other measures like only allowing cars with even or odd number license plates to be driving on roads, and steep penalties for violating those rules. So I don't know. We'll see if they actually get their pollution down, if they maintain free public transit, or what's going to happen with that. So, South Korean President Park. I know I've been talking about her last couple of weeks, mentioning her, and I finally get to stop talking about her because she's been impeached. So after 6 weeks of protests, a 4% approval rating, the National Assembly voted to impeach President Park earlier in the week. Actually, not earlier, a couple days ago, actually. The National Assembly voted 234 to 56 in favor of impeaching President Park. So she has been immediately suspended, um, while there's a vote to ratify that impeachment in the Constitutional Court. And until that happens, she has been immediately suspended. So their prime minister will take over those duties in her place. And I'll be interested to see where this goes from here. And if she tries to continue in her political endeavors beyond being president. Speaking of failed political maneuvers, Jill Stein and her recount vote has been canceled in Michigan. Federal judge just recently ruled in agreement with the Michigan Appeals Court that there are no signs of tampering or fraud in the Michigan votes, in the voting and everything. Nothing was messed with. So Jill Stein is not allowed to call for a recount in that state. She is still running a campaign in Wisconsin to get a recount, and she's seeking to get one going in Pennsylvania, but Michigan, complete kibosh on that one. So it'll be fun to see what happens with the other two states. Michigan was kind of an important one for her because it was definitely, I think it was one of the closest states between Trump and Clinton. So it'll be interesting to see if she actually gets anywhere with the other ones now that there's been a little bit of a trend set. In similar news about people, like, not really that similar, U.S. life expectancy is down. The CDC just released their life expectancy data for the past year, and the death rate has jumped 1.2% from last year, reducing the life expectancy massively from 78.9 years to 78.8. Oh, the horror! I mean, dying early always sucks, but it's not a whole big massive deal. Even though people seem to be making a big deal about it, I've seen a whole bunch of articles about, oh, terror, the life expectancy is down. Okay. Some early analysis is suggesting that drug overdoses and a really bad flu season, exacerbating pre-existing conditions, could have been the cause for the increase in death rate. But, so yeah, you're all gonna die 0.1 years earlier. Hope that makes you feel a lot better about yourselves. And finally, the Dakota Access Pipeline has some interesting developments. The Army Corps of Engineers has denied a permit for the construction of a section of the pipeline, citing valid concerns by tribal officials about how the pipeline could affect drinking water in the area. It's been pretty much put on hold for right now, and people have been protesting for months over this, so this is a really big win for them. They are going to continue protesting, it appears, into the winter. And while this whole debacle with the pipeline is not over by any extent of the imagination, this is definitely a really big win for the protesters. That is all for this episode. If you want to read anything further about anything that I've talked about in this video, check the description below. Make sure to tell all of your friends. If there's any further developments in any of these stories, you'll definitely hear about it here. And I will see you all next week.